everyone. Okay, we're going to test sound first. I've got my microphone on and I want to know that it's working. Give me a second. Okay, there's my sound. Okay. I think it's working. Okay. We are good. All right. Hey, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here. We're going to give it just a second to... Hello. Yeah, say hi in the comments. Kind of early for a live. At least I'm on the West Coast, so 8:30. But this was kind of the only time I could fit it in during the day, so here we are. I'm caffeinating, so if anybody else is with me, let me know. Let's see here. So what we're going to do today is basically give a quick update on where we are in the PPP program. You guys probably know what's going on, but we're going to do an update. We're going to kind of talk about what other options are available. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello, hello. Thanks for saying hi. Good morning. We're going to talk about a couple other programs that might be available if PPP isn't an option anymore. And then we're going to get into kind of talking about like, well, what's next? You know, we're kind of coming to the close of something, and then we're going to just, I don't know, have a conversation. So this is really meant to be kind of casual. I just wanted to, you know, say hi to everybody. It's been a little while. There's been a lot of activity on the channel. We've had some drama, which is funny because I'm a super low drama person. And so getting into any drama is like, woo. Okay. So we'll get into some of that. But I guess I see a lot more people have been popping on. So, let's just go ahead and get started then. So if you're here, let's go. So you probably have heard the news that the PPP program is officially out of money. No more PPP. There is no more new applications that can be submitted. So the SBA has closed off any additional applications. If you had been in the process, this is where we're just not sure exactly which of those applications are going to continue through the processing. So the likelihood that your PPP was with the bank and hadn't yet moved on to the SBA, those loans are probably not going to be funded. Okay. Now I could be wrong, but if it hadn't yet gotten to the SBA, those are very low likelihood that they'll be funded. I did read today that they reserved $6 billion. The SBA reserved $6 billion for applications that were in process and specifically in review for error codes. Okay, so if there was an error for an EIN number or some other documentation or something like that, they are holding space for those applications to continue to be processed. Okay. Yeah, I think that's, if you don't have a SBA loan number, the likelihood that you're out is probably true. Francisco, I think, was it Francisco? Yeah, just put that up there. So yeah, we're kind of, it basically, until it's funded, there's no guarantee on that. So, we just kind of have to wait at this point. But if you do have an SBA loan number, it sounds like that is a positive sign for you. I was here, there's a New York Times article. Francisco, if you can find that and you want to link it in the comments, that would be awesome. Or the chat. I'd love to see that. I was doing a quick search this morning to see if we had any updates, and I did not see that article. So, okay. Let's see. So where there is still money. Thank you. There is still money in the program for in the CDFI. So those are the community development financial institutions. And if you are getting a loan through those types of organizations directly, there is still about $8 billion left in those funds. And that was as of a couple of days ago. So when PPP ran out, I bet that is now getting flooded with applications there. But I'm going to put a resource. Can I put it in my own chat? Let's see. Can I chat this myself? I might not be able to do it right here. But there is a list of CDFIs, and it says it's cdfifund.gov/tools-resources. I'll put it in the chat after the live ends. But there is a list of current certified CDFIs. So if you are still thinking that you really want to try to pursue one of these loans and you think you qualify and you want to go for it and you want to do it like today, I would get on this list and see if there's a CDFI. Now, what I hear with those CDFIs is you typically have to be within the range. You can't just like if I'm in Seattle and I'm trying to apply, for one in New York, like I don't think that's going to work. The whole thing is community development. So you would want to try to find the one that's closest to you and see if you could qualify through them. Okay. So there is a little bit of still some money left, but we're moving on. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe that PPP will be additionally funded. This program has had funds added to it. Let's see, we had 2 big tranches added to the original amount. And so I don't think they're going to throw any more money at this program, especially because the level of fraud that's happening with the program. I just don't see them wanting to dump any more money into it. Now, there might be some very specifically targeted programs coming down the pike, like we had the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which opened up on Monday. If you have not yet applied for that, no, thanks, Francisco. If you haven't yet applied for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and you need it, check out my video and go and apply ASAP, because those are also limited funds. And then we also have the Shuttered Venues Act. The Shuttered Venues Fund is also just for event spaces that are shut down. So they've kind of tailored these types of programs to the industries that are really hard hit. So we might see something like that, eventually. But and then we've also got the existing loan programs that were already in place. So we have the EIDL loan. So a couple of you are chatting about that in the chat, and I'm going to say what I can, respond to what I can, but I can only see a little bit up here. Let's see. The EIDL Advance, there was the EIDL Advance and the EIDL loan. So remember, the EIDL loan is now up to $500,000. However, that is a loan. It is a 30-year loan, 3.75%, and you have to pay it back. There's no chance that that's going to be forgivable. Okay, so if you get the EIDL loan, just know that is a loan, straight business loan. You're going to have to pay it back. Okay, they did do a 2-year payment deferral on that, so you've got another year if you got it last year. Okay, but that's something to think about if you really need that funding. Okay, the second thing is you could go just back to regular SBA loans. Those are available, and they are waiving a certain amount of payments on those loans. I think it's like up to 3 payments or something like that. I haven't done a lot of research into that program, but that is still available. So if you just need a traditional business loan, you could still go look at other SBA programs like that. Okay. The EIDL advances, what I was finding is that if you were just going to apply for a new EIDL advance right now, you can't get one. So you would have had to have applied a long time ago when the advance program was open. And then you were invited to get the additional targeted EIDL advance if that was something that was available to you, okay? But you had to have some qualifications for that. So what I'm seeing, and I've had a couple business owners come to me right now who weren't qualifying for the PPP. They weren't qualifying for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. They weren't qualifying, and then they weren't able to get the EIDL targeted advance. And really, they don't need to be taking out tons of debt. So these types of businesses, and kind of where we're at right now with a lot of you who, now that PPP funding is running out, we're kind of looking at it from a place of like, what do you do now in your business? This is where we start to look at, you know, let's put all these funding options aside, because it's unprecedented that we've had so much sort of free money thrown at us, right, in any sort of business scenario. So now we have to just look at, how do we operate our business in a way that we can continue on, we can be profitable, we can feed our families, we can pay our employees, and we just, start to take the next steps beyond PPP and beyond some of these programs. Okay. So what this means is we need to do some really serious, deep dive looking at your business and going okay, how do I operate without this assistance? How do I move forward? It's important to understand what has changed about your industry, what has changed about your customers, what is next. Are there new trends that now you need to adapt to? Is there a different marketing strategy that you need to take now that everything is remote? These are the types of things that we have to say, okay, the bailout money is gone. So now what? Now the next steps. Okay. So my thinking around this channel is, my hope is to say how do we help small businesses continue to move forward after PPP? Obviously, if you were in business before the pandemic, you are smart and resilient and you've made it through this. And I believe that we can move past it too. So you guys, I think it's time to just have a message of we can do this, let's move forward, and we've got this. Okay. So I want to say that. I want to say too that I fully recognize that a lot of people kind of got screwed in the PPP process. And I want to be, I mean, there's no doubt about it. So I'm doing actually a kind of a chit chat interview with Jamie Troll next week in her community, to kind of talk about the whole PPP program and sort of what we think went well, what we think didn't go well, and kind of to do a little bit of reminiscing on it. And I, excuse me, I do believe that we, I think that there were a lot of missteps in the program along the way. I think in the haste of getting it out and getting money out, that the program kind of got twisted around. And some of those people who were really trying to do the right thing from the very beginning, are the ones that kind of got screwed in the end. Think about the people who tried to spend their money in 8 weeks when they first got it in April, and all of their money was gone. And then they found out later that they had 24 weeks to spend it. I mean, that happened to a lot of businesses, and, they were in a situation that they spent their PPP money and then, didn't really have anything to show for it. So I think, we've seen this multiple times. The gross income, somebody's talking about line 7 versus line 31. The gross income message is kind of one that we're seeing over and over. People who applied earlier had to use their net income, and then the Schedule C filers who applied later got to use their gross income. So, I mean, I fully recognize that there's some inequality in, what we had going on here. So this definitely was not a perfect program. I'm super happy to have helped many of you understand it enough to go and get this money. But I also understand that a lot of us too are going to be kind of left, feeling like it was unfair. So I just kind of want to recognize that. I can't really do anything about it, but I do just want to say I see you, let's see. So I want to also address, I'm seeing some people, and this is not saying anybody who's chatting here. I'm just saying some of the comments that I'm seeing in the videos is saying hey, we need to get the program extended to May 31st, because that's what they said it was going to be. There should be money through May 31st. But I just want to remind everybody that that the program was supposed to end March 31st. So we actually, if you just kind of think about it, actually we had an extra almost month and a half, well, a month and a week to get this money. So we actually had more time. That was kind of a gift. I mean, however you want to view it. But I do think that, we need to look at it that way. Like, we got extra time to actually spend all this money, and it was allotted to businesses. Now, I would say there's tons of fraud in the program. We've had people getting loans, over $2 million that were fraudulent, people under $2 million, lots of Schedule C filers getting money that they should never have gotten, lots of people under 150,000 basically stealing from this program. We don't really know. What's going to happen with that money. But the truth is that usually once money goes out, and it gets into the hands of whoever is fraudulently using it, the government doesn't get it back. So they're not just going to refund the program because other people got it used it fraudulently. So even if, there was $10 billion of fraudulent loans, we're not going to get that back for legitimate loans. Okay. I just think that's a waste of fraud. Okay. And those selfish people who want to take it and do their own thing with it, they are taking it away from people who legitimately need it and could use it for their businesses. So, I mean, it's part of the tragedy of fraud. Okay. And selfishness. Okay. So, what else? So somebody just asked about the CDFIs. Again, I'm going to put the link to the eligible CDFIs in the description box afterwards. But if you want to go and look at it right now, cdfifund.gov/tools and resources, tools-resources. There's a list of certified CDFIs. There's like a little box. I'm looking at the website right now. That's why I'm going like this and going like this. So that's there. Okay, what else? I'm going to see if I can answer some questions, but they are a little bit hard to see over here. Yeah, I've got like really bad visibility into my chat because I'm actually going live on my phone. You guys, I have kind of a funny story. So I had somebody early on in my YouTube time say, "Hey, Hannah, go and get one of these little mics, one of the little lav mics." And Brandon, he has been watching the channel for a while, so he sent me a link and I bought it, and then I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I kept plugging it in, kept using it, and then I was like, it doesn't work. It's not picking up any sound. The dummy, because I'm not an audio-visual person, you guys. Like, I'm a finance person. I totally recognize that's a strength. Totally have weaknesses in the audio-visual department. I finally realized how to use the mic. So I apologize for all of you guys who were listening to me early on and had all the sound issues. So I'm still trying to sort of figure out like my tech things. I have a super nice camera that I haven't quite figured out how to use yet for things like going live and generally recording videos. Okay. Okay. Looking at the chat now, sorry, like it pops up and then it disappears. So somebody just said that they were looking for CDFIs and they haven't found one yet that's taking applications. I'm sure people are getting an influx. I think you're gonna have the best bet with trying to find somebody close to you and then going from there. Okay. After the live, if I can respond to any of the chat, I will. The other thing is, oh, hi, Joel. Joel's my cousin. Hi, everybody. Say hi to Joel. Let's see here. I'm trying to look at, okay, I can look at questions now. Okay. Okay, if you guys have been keeping up with the past couple videos that I posted, a lot of it was focused on Schedule C filers. So a lot of sole proprietors have had questions about like getting how to use the funds, how to pay themselves, and then also what happens if you get loans too close together. Big controversy there. I didn't realize I was stirring up like such a big deal, but there's a big discrepancy in interpretation of guidance. Well, I'm reading the guidance as it's stated. other CPA has definitely on YouTube has interpreted an FAQ in a way that I don't agree with. And so it's been confusing for people. But we're trying to figure out right now, like really what the SBA is going to say. For those of you who got your PPP 1 and PPP 2 loans super close together, the recommendation now would be like, now that the funds are gone, it's still up to you. If you got those loans close together, you can decide if you want to try to hold on to it. My recommendation for that second loan. So if you got 2 loans close together and your first, go ahead and spend your first loan. You can use that however you want. The second loan though, that's where I'm saying hold on to it. Don't spend it if you can. Don't spend it. If you haven't already spent it. That is, that's my continued recommendation. I'm really hoping the SBA will clarify. We have one kind of lender, Wampley, who has been this is kind of a major thing that they've been doing, and they seem to think it's okay. Some other CPAs have supported that idea. I don't agree with it. Neither do some of my CPA counterparts. But ultimately what I'm trying to recommend to people is like, don't spend that second draw loan, because by holding on to it, you could be in a situation where you have kind of maybe misrepresented to the SBA your need for that money. Okay. Maybe not your need for the money, but your eligibility for the money. Okay. So I'm really hoping the SBA will just come out and be clear, because that would be super helpful. But we've seen this time and time again where we're really dying for answers, and the SBA does not give us clear answers to things that people want to know, which I totally don't understand. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Totally don't understand. I look at my comments on my YouTube channel and I try to answer the questions. Like you would think the SBA might do the same, but instead they just like put out other interim final rules that are even more confusing. Can you hear my dog? He's protecting me. All right, let's see. I'm not going to go on too much of a spiel of that one, because I was kind of fighting it out in the comments a little bit with people. I try to be respectful of people's opinions, and ultimately it's always your decision, whatever you decide to do. Okay, you have to take ownership of your own actions and say, I feel comfortable with doing this, between like what I understand about guidance, what I understand about, your own business ethics and morals. Like you have to make that decision for yourself. So that's kind of what I'll say at the end of the day with all of that. Let's see. Okay, let me see if I can answer some questions. Man, I like having the questions. It's just harder to do it when we are live, because they scroll so fast. Okay. All right. A couple questions earlier on. Janet said, I've been trying to figure out what to do with 2 Schedule Cs. Janet, you would file 2 separate PPP loans for 2 separate Schedule Cs. Amy says, when they ask for a 2020 full tax return, you're waiting on yours. What do people do? You put in a draft Schedule C. It doesn't have to actually be filed with the IRS for a 2020. The 2019 has to be a filed tax return, but not the 2021, if you can still get it in. Clara asked, what about the women and minority funding? I think that's all out. I'm not sure how they determine that. I mean, I know tons of women and minority business owners got loans, so I'm not sure if they had to be like SBA certified women and minority business owned, because you can go through that whole process to get like certified. I don't know if they were just allotting it to those types of businesses, or if they were just saying any female or any minority. I never got any clarification on that. Frederick said, completed PPP loan application on April 16th, no response. Kind of depends on the lender. It depends on the bank. Some of these lenders were actually just like, they're kind of brokers for the actual banks that are funding the loans. So they're sort of like the face. They were taking your application, but some of those were super slow to actually process and get them over to the actual bank that was funding. So that's kind of part of the problem with a lot of these. That's really the problem with having all of these different lenders. So like I think Lendio and Womply were both of those types of organizations where they were like, they were essentially just kind of a broker. And so they would take in your information and then they would essentially, I guess, just sell it sort of to whichever lender wanted to fund the loan. So I'm not really sure how the mechanics of all that work, but that's why you cannot get any customer service with like Lendio or Womply, because they're essentially not actually servicing the loan at the end of the day. Let's see. Trying to look at comments, you guys. All right. Okay, Devin said he was an SBA review for 4 days. Is it over? Did you get an SBA loan number? I think we talked about that earlier in the live. Yeah, you guys, PPP is not going to be extended, we don't think. Okay. Well, after the live, if you guys like rewatch or anything and you want to put anything in the comments, it'll be a little easier to respond there. Just the way that YouTube does the live. I know there's a way to like pin comments, but it might only be if they're like paid for. There's like a, I've never used the feature, but there's like some way to like pin the comments. Okay, I got the, okay. Sorry, just wasting you guys' time. Not meaning to. Real quick before we go though, I just want to take up a couple more minutes. So kind of the next thing is I'm like, this channel has been really devoted to trying to help you through the PPP loan process. But through this, we've realized just, there's lots of other ways that, that we can be, helping you succeed financially as small business owners. So my thinking is like, what's next? What's next for the channel? I love doing YouTube. This is super fun. I like engaging with you guys. I like helping. I like being able to be a service. It's a great way for me to be able to educate on a mass level and have something that's super accessible and free to the masses. So kind of the next step for me is just thinking about like, what do you guys want? What is helpful? What would be good? What's the next step? So I would love to hear that. And if you don't get, if you haven't had a chance to think about it, obviously I sprung this on you guys, but like, I'd love for you to think about like what would be helpful going forward. I have right now a bunch of interviews with authors, CEOs. I have ideas for doing like QuickBooks tutorials or things that could be helpful, or talking about like software that's been helpful in my business or your business, things that could be helpful. So I'd like to know like what would be helpful. What are you not finding on YouTube right now that you'd love to know? Is it tax stuff? Is it, I mean, I don't do taxes, but I could always bring in somebody who does taxes. So yeah, I'm thinking like, I'd love to think about like small business, like legal tips. Like, I mean, I've kind of, my brain is all over the place, but I feel like there's just tons of stuff we could be talking about here. And I want to start like moving in that direction and start bringing that to you guys. So if you have any ideas for that, put them in the description box. I mean, not the description box. Put them in the comments below. Put them in the chat if you can. The chat sometimes disappears afterwards. So I'd love to know what's helpful. I also want to tell you that I will probably be doing a couple like workshops or sort of office hours types things to help you get through the PPP forgiveness process. So now that applications are closed, then we're going to be working on forgiveness. Okay. So we'll definitely have some resources available for that. I'm kind of thinking like even just something, either if it's not live, maybe a webinar or something where we're literally filling out the form, and putting it like getting that like through. So you are totally ready to go and apply for forgiveness when that time comes. So, all right, you guys, what else did I want to tell you? Oh, big news. We reached 1 million views on this channel, which is mind-blowing. That really all started about a year ago with the PPP stuff that came out. So thank you guys. What that means to me is that there's lots of people who are on YouTube looking for financial help. So I just appreciate that you guys have decided to listen to me. I thank you for being here. Okay, IRAs, retirement accounts, health insurance. Yes, yes, yes. I love all that stuff. Totally want to talk about that stuff on the channel. Super important because you guys, like, if we're small business owners, we don't have the support of an employer taking care of us. So like, we really need to be thinking through all of that as we're designing and planning and setting up our small businesses. So, okay, well, I'm going to stop talking. I've been talking for a while. At some point, it would be fun to like have like an engaged conversation and more like real life. We'll get there. We'll figure that out. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day. Happy Friday. And I will see you soon. All right. Bye, everybody.